Hi everyone and welcome back to my YouTube channel. In today's video, I'll be showing you a step-by-step process to building your data project for your portfolio. The first step in building your project is research. And by research, I mean having an understanding of which industry or what kind of projects you want to future in your portfolio. Because at the end of the day, you're building your portfolio to get an opportunity or a role. So you want that portfolio to showcase that you have various skill sets in various things. So a good way to start is to start looking at jobs and their description, certain type of skill set that they need, and then tailor your project to that. Or start looking at certain industries. So if you're someone that you want your portfolio to show maybe things in the non-profit industry or things in the finance industry, then that means you have to start researching on what are the needs or what are the pain points in this industry, and how can I build projects that show that I have the skill set needed to solve this pain points. For example, a pain point in the nonprofit industry might be being able to simplify data and present it to stakeholders or raise awareness in certain issues. So maybe for you, your goal for your portfolio is to build projects that show that you know how to turn data into visual stories, you know how to turn data into actionable insights. So that's one of the first steps that you can do. You can also use ChatGPT to brainstorm on this, or any AI tools that you have to brainstorm on this on research. You can also perform what we call like informal interviews, maybe talk to people in the industry and really understand what their pain point is and how you can come in. Now this is done. The next step you're going to do is to start researching for the data sets that it's best fits for what you want to do. Now, just check out this video on how to find data sets for your portfolio that I recorded. It has a very detailed step-by-step process on how you can find data sets anywhere online. You can pause this video, watch it, and then come back. Welcome back. So you've gotten your data set and now you want to work on it. So you know that data can just be, numbers, information that does not really make sense at the moment, but the value of data is how you're able to extract important information. So when you have your data, it can be hard to just really understand, okay, so I have this data now, what do I do with it? And this is where case study questions come in. Case study questions help you to streamline the specific information or direction of flow when processing your data. So let me give a practical example. Um, let's say you're trying to showcase a portfolio for a marketing analyst, and you are able to get a social media data for your company, their insights from maybe Facebook, LinkedIn, Twitter, or X, and then you're trying to understand what can you do with this data. So maybe to showcase that, you can talk about like maybe certain trends in terms of followership. You can talk about the statistics in terms of top countries that these followers are coming from. You can talk about maybe a particular campaign that is converting more followers. So knowing these questions, these case study questions in your head kind of gives you direction on how to clean the data or certain things you are looking out for. And this process is so effective. I can remember my first hackathon where we were asked to work on this network data. And one thing I and my team did was to really ask ourselves questions like, how are we going to go about this data? Just putting ourselves in the perspective of the stakeholders that want to see these results. Like, what would they like to see? What kind of questions do they have? So it kind of helps to just put yourself in that seat of a stakeholder. And if this is too complex for you, you can simply ask on your AI to, maybe you can upload the spreadsheet or the CSV file, and then ask the chat GPT to generate case study questions on this topic, because you want to use it to build a portfolio. So that way, you're not using the AI to build your project from start to finish, but you're using the AI to help you develop case study questions that would help you build your project. So if you're someone that is more visual, just watch how I ask ChatGPT business question on this data set and follow me. So you've gotten your data set, you've gotten your case study question. Now it's time for you to pre-process your data set. So this could be cleaning it, just making sure that everything is accurate, and then also working on certain visualizations to really understand what's going on the data. So it could be a line plot, scatter plot, heat map, whatever that is useful as the case may be. I'll be showing you how I did this in the project. And for this part of it, I code with Python, and I usually use Google Collab for my projects. I use Google Collab because it's easier to use. And when I was doing this hackathon, a friend of mine recommended it because I would be able to use it to upload a large data set on the cloud, on the drive, without doing so much heavy lifts. I also love the fact that when I'm coding and then I have an error, it links articles that I could read and just kind of understand what's going on, what mistake did I make, and how can I do better. So it's a beautiful way to like code and also learn simultaneously. So let me show you how I use Google Colab. So you're going to go on Google Collab. On Google Collab, you can see that you have sample data that you can play around with. And then that icon is to connect Google Collab with your Google Drive. And so I connected this and uploaded the dev data CSV. Now let's go through the code. So in order for this to work, the first code you see from google.collab import drive, drive.mount, you have to mount your drive. So the next thing I'm doing is to import my library. So I imported pandas, numpy, seaborn, and matplotlib. I didn't spend so much time like writing a lot of tests for the code because my main output is the visualization and not just the code. So this is me just seeing what the data, the overview of the data set looks like, if they are missing values. So this is a survey data, and you can see that some questions which are test based were not answered, and there wouldn't be any need to remove that because it's a survey data. So the next thing I did is grouping this data set by different groups depending on what I wanted to look for. So you can see, looking at the current occupation status and so many other things. So the next thing I did was to be, now that I've grouped it, to visualize these groups into bar charts, just to have an understanding of the output of this survey. So you can see these bar charts talking about the different occupations that people in the deaf community in Nigeria have. Also, I also wanted to understand the salary. So what's the minimum salary like? What's the maximum salary in the data set? Just to have an overview. Also understanding like the median salary. Then the next thing I did was also to group the data by job type. So I'm using like dot count, like to really count this output of this data. So yeah, this is what I did to understand the job type. So what kind of jobs are these people doing and how can this be helped? So as we said, we mentioned about having a test data. So for this, I used a word cloud to help me visualize which words have the highest output. So you can see the code that I used to do that. I'm going to attach it to the description. And then the next thing I wanted to also visualize is certain things that they've faced, and you can see discrimination and all these things being there. Then the last thing I did was trying to understand the preferred means of communication. So you can see the charts for all of this. So this helped me just have an a kind of like a skeletal system of
Okay, awesome. So
how
you've
I
seen how
want
I
the
use Google
visualization
Collab
to
to
go.
pre-process my data and also export the clean data sets. The next thing we're going to do is to work on the output or the visualization. So for some people, your output already is the Google Collab file, like the code and everything. But for people that, especially maybe you're working in social media or you want to work in a non-profit organization, your output could be something more visual, like a presentation of slides, like showing the data, maybe on Power BI or on Canva or any tool that you're comfortable with. So I would show you how I use um, Canva and Flourish to turn those insights into interactive visual presentations.
Hi everyone. So this was designed with Canva. As you can see, it kind of looks like a megaphone, like the shape. And then at the end, in those lines, that looks like an audio visual. Then this is the introductory part, just giving an overview of the data. I also kept to the brand colors of the project by data views, which I will link to this video. Recording this now, I feel that this Canva part should be a single video on its own. So what I would do is I would record this in two parts where I would give a detailed explanation on how I
Now you
use
have
Canva
seen
and my
my
entire
step-to-step
process.
process on building projects. It's time for you to try out the same. So let me know how it goes. And one thing about building your portfolio, you can repeat this step in various projects because at the end of the day, your portfolio is made up of different projects. So for now, maybe don't focus on the outlook of how your portfolio website would be and just focus on building as many projects as possible. Good luck, and I'm rooting for you.